What's up guys, OJ here. Welcome back to another video, and we're doing something that we almost never do on this channel, and that is talking about a licensed video game based off of an American cartoon show. But this one I had to discuss, and that is Samurai Jack Battle Through Time. This game actually shocked me with how good it is. So if you're a Samurai Jack fan, rush out there and buy it. You don't even have to finish watching this video. Although I want you to finish watching this video, you don't have to finish watching it. And sorry if I kind of go all over the place, non-scripted with these here guys, but I wanted to get my thoughts on this because I've been playing the game, and honestly it is a fun game. There is a lot to like about this, even as somebody who is not a Samurai Jack fan, which admittedly I am not. I watched the show back in the day. I tried to get into it. They really pushed it on Cartoon Network, but it never really clicked with me with stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho and the Japanese animations that I was watching around the same time. So I just never really followed up with the show. And all of a sudden, years or more like decades later, or whatever the case is, they are back with a video game. Now, there were some video games before that I did try out, and they weren't very good in my opinion. I think on like the GameCube or the PS2, there was a Samurai Jack game. It wasn't very good. It felt really slippery, didn't have great controls. Like, it just wasn't fun. Even though I didn't know about the show too much, it just wasn't fun. But this game, Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, you can tell that they took extreme care on making sure everything felt authentic. And even though I'm not a huge Samurai Jack fan, I could feel the love that the developers actually had for the brand. You can just feel it when you're playing one of these licensed games, man. Like, sometimes I play some of these Naruto games and I'm like, there's not enough love from people who actually like the show. But this game is completely different. Now, one of the things that I absolutely love about the presentation before we get into the meat and potatoes, which is the battle system, is that all of the voice actors, all of the graphics, the animation, what they do in there with the music, it all is authentic. The characters, all authentic to the show. It even takes place after the epic series finale, so people who love the show can kind of feel really welcome and right back into the world. You're traveling through that time and space, going to various different locations from the show and slicing it up. So presentation wise, I have to go ahead and give it a double thumbs up, a 10 out of 10 in terms of how unique and authentic it is to the show. It is not an abomination that we've seen from some of these licensed games out there. They wanted to make sure that they handled this with care, and they nailed it. So I have to give them their props on that. Now let's talk about the most important thing here, guys, and that is the combat, and that is what makes Samurai Jack Battle Through Time one of the more enjoyable combat games, action games that I've played. Now, this game has a little bit of everything. It has a little bit of Breath of the Wild thrown in there with the weapon durability, so you have to somewhat use them sparingly. But the difference in this game is that you can repair your weapons. So that's a good thing. It has a little bit of Devil May Cry thrown in there, or Bayonetta, to where you can launch your enemies up into the air. It's even done the same way. Y is weak attack, X is strong attack. You press Y, then X, boom, that is a launcher. And then you can slash them up and slam them back down. Has a little bit of Assassin's Creed thrown in there as well with the skill trees. You have various different paths that you can take, where you have your health upgrades, you have your spirit upgrades, you have your physical ability upgrades. And as you go through with that, that was to me one of the most enjoyable things, because this game not only is it an action game, but there's platforming parts as well. So you get new maneuver abilities. You get a double jump that you can unlock. You get a dash and then a dodge roll after it. You just get various different things that you can do. You even have a throw that you can do that disarms enemies. So it's just really cool to go through, continue slashing things up, collecting a bunch of spirit fire and blue fire in order to upgrade, and then using those abilities to take out enemies. One of my favorite things to do in the game, especially when there's a ton of enemies on screen, is to equip one of the weapons that is good against those enemies. So if there's hordes of enemies, you have like this bamboo stick, or you have different staffs or spears or scythes that you can use, and you can just wreak havoc on top of your enemies, on top of pulling out really cool and flashy super moves that use your spirit, which you can fully upgrade and get new abilities in that realm as well. I love the depth, and there's just so much different abilities to get. I've only just scratched the surface on what you can do, but I can already tell that it's absolutely amazing. Now, another thing that I also loved, probably my favorite thing to do in this game, is kind of do the hold down block. It's an ability that you unlock. You hold down the block as you're running, and then you can counter. There can be a parry, and you can counter it, and then you do a fierce roundhouse kick to knock out opponents. Love that too. So you have the standard progression in what you would see in an action game. It's not open world. They don't waste time going and doing all these different things. You kind of go through, and there's different paths that you can take, like little secrets that you can find tucked away in the nooks and crannies, where you can meet up with a lot of the people or characters from the show, and they will give you different things. They'll give you items, they'll give you stuff to where you can progress, they'll give you weapons and things like that. So although I'm not a huge fan of the show, I appreciate them having those characters in there. You have some nice boss battles thrown in there where you're facing off against some of these people as well. So it is a phenomenal game that I really enjoyed. Now let's get into some of the bad things about the Switch version in particular. Now, I don't know if this is the case with the Xbox and the PlayStation and the PC, but it seems like it's the case with some of this stuff with the Switch version, but it could be in other versions of the game. It's 30 frames per second on the Nintendo Switch, and there is some slowdown within the game. So sometimes when there's a lot of enemies on screen or at just certain parts, there will be a little bit of frame rate dips. Now, is it ever so bad to the point to where it's unplayable? No, it never gets to that point. I always had full control of Jack in battle, and I always felt like I can do anything, that I'm not being hampered by the controls, but it is in there on the Switch version of the game. And that can mess you up a little bit if you're fighting against a really tough enemy and you don't want to drop any inputs or make some mistakes, and there might be a little bit of a frame rate drop here and there, but it recovers for the most part, and it didn't really hinder my experience too much. And the controls were responsive. So I think if you combine the fact with the controls being responsive, it definitely saves it just a bit, but there are some frame rate dips on there. And it would have been nice if they were able to get the game to 60 frames per second for this type of action game. It's not a huge game to where there's a bunch of different open land and areas. I mean, it is somewhat linear when it comes to how the combat progresses and where you go through. There are some open-ended areas and there are different places to go, but it's not like there's a bunch of areas and places at a same time being rendered. So it would have been nice if they were able to get it to 60 for this type of action game. But beside those negatives on there, I still had a ton of fun. And I honestly feel that the upgrading and how they did the weapon system, having various different types of weapons and upgrades with your spirit and super attacks and the boss battles and the various different thrown items that you can have as well, shurikens, kunais, heck, even a gun in the game. That's what saved it to me, and that's what makes it a ton of fun. So if you're a Samurai Jack fan, now is the time to get excited. You're going to want to play this game. Even if you don't love everything about it, there is a lot to love. If you're a Samurai Jack fan, you're going to love the story and everything like that, because they did a great job with that. And it reminds me of all the memories, like it kind of just like sparked the memories that I have of watching the show back in the day, even though I wasn't a huge fan of it. Now, if you're not a big fan of Samurai Jack and you love action games like Bayonetta and also something like maybe Assassin's Creed with some of like the skill tree stuff, but really if you're a fan of the old school action games and hack and slashes back in the day that have cool upgrades and everything, you're definitely going to want to check this one out. Maybe not at launch, since it's a game that, you know, you're not into the franchise, but at the same time, it's a game that you might want to check out later down the line when there's a discount, or if you're just looking for a great action game to play, then I definitely say go out there and pick it up, because it is a solid action game. And once again, it's on every single platform, so there's no problem there. Now, I didn't get a chance to play too much of it in portable mode on the Switch, but overall, it seems like it plays good. It looks okay. It doesn't seem like it's running at a super crazy low resolution or frame rate. Everything seems to be solid enough, although there might be some areas that might be worse. I'm not sure. I just didn't play it too much in portable mode. But those are my thoughts on Samurai Jack Battle Through Time. What do you guys think about the show? And are you guys planning on picking up the game, or are you already playing the game? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.